Coming up next on Boston Rock Talk, we sit down with Dee Dee and Jules from the Dum Dum Girls. They talk about their latest album, Too True, and the long process taking it to fruition. Hello and welcome to Boston Rock Talk. It's a music and interview show that we have here where we have artists that are playing the Boston area come by the studio to have a chat, do a bit of an interview, and they play some live music for us. My name is Jim Sullivan. I'm your host, and we are here today with the Dum Dum Girls. Welcome, girls.
Hello.
Jules, Dee Dee.
Hi.
Good to have you here in Norwell. Dum Dum Girls, they're not all girls, right?
Correct. As of this last record, Too True, we have a boy.
And you have had other boys throughout the arc of the career, correct?
We have, yeah. It took a while to settle into the lineup that we've had for the last 3 or 4 years. So for a while, just various friends would help fill it out. Yeah, Jules and I have, I think, played almost all the shows together. I maybe played one without her. But yeah, we've probably had like 15 band members between the two of us that we've shared the stage with.
Well, you're obviously very comfortable with the setup and the way it works for you, where you do a lot of the recording, but there is the live band that goes too.
I mean, I think for me, there's two sides of being a musician. There's the writing and recording process and the performance process, and I love them both, but one is more of a private, intimate thing for me, and the other very much, dependent on a group and having a sort of gang on stage. So
people to be with and play off. And,
I wouldn't want to play by myself.
I was going to say, have you ever
capable of that?
Have you ever done the solo guitar?
I do. I do acoustic shows sometimes, but it's always terrifying. Yeah.
I'll ask you about the name itself, because Dum Dum comes from the song by the Vaselines and the Iggy Pop song, and I know there was some sort of conflation of the two in your reasoning. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So when I started, again, it was just me learning how to play guitar, learning how to write songs, how to demo, and the next logical step seemed to be to put it out into the world, which at the time was MySpace, dominated internet. So the naming of the project came more out of a need for that than, intentions of becoming a band and going on tour and all the stuff it ended up becoming. So I was sitting in my living room, happened to look at a stack of records that was out, and the Vaselines record Dum Dum was on top, and something about the way it looked, the way it sounded, the fact that it's kind of a common backup vocal phrase, and especially when I started and I was mining a lot more of the girl group territory, like that seemed like a spot on reference. And then my husband Brandon reminded me that there was that Iggy Pop song off the Idiot called Dum Dum Boys, so it kind of just seemed like a perfect, combo of references, especially because Vaselines and Stooges and Iggy Pop songs were, sort of great models to learn how to do effective, simple pop songwriting when I started.
I was going to say the early Dum Dum Girls was more of a punky sound, I believe, and that I know has evolved. But tell me a bit about that evolution from.
I mean, it had as much to do with like a stylistic intention as a limitation of what I was capable of playing. When I started, 3 chords was sort of the green light. Like, okay, if I've learned this Ramones song or this Bob Dylan song and they're 3 chords, that means that I myself can now write a 3-chord song.
1, 4, 5.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But then as time has gone on, and I look at songwriting like a craft that I have tried to develop, and it's almost it's an inside joke with me and my engineer that with each release I like introduce a new chord that I've learned, you know.
And you're up to?
Probably 7 or 8 at this point, yeah. But again, another big thing was that when I stopped being the one that was recording myself, when I started working with one of my producers, Suna Rose Wagner from the Ravenettes, that kind of enabled me to have ideas that were, you know, beyond necessarily what I was capable of doing myself. But with direction, could be like, okay, this is the basic song, and in these parts, I want this to happen. And although I'm not capable of doing it myself, it's you know, an easy exchange like that.
So the studio was sort of your palette in a way,
yeah.
and you can add colors to it. Jules, how do you feel about fitting into the project, the Dum Dum Girls project, as a member of the live band? Obviously something you've been doing for some time and are comfortable with and enjoy. What do you bring to the package, do you think?
You know,
a lot,
spirit, EMA. Yeah, I love touring. Touring is kind of my favorite way to live. So
Yeah. She's like a great rock and roll muse. I don't want to speak for her, but that's
A great rock and roll muse?
Yeah.
In
Definitely.
what way?
She was born for this.
yeah, it's great. I mean,
More
you
so
get
than
to
anyone I've ever met, yeah.
Yeah, you see the world, meet people. It's always interesting, something new every day. It's like kind of the way I like to live.
So neither of you have reached the point in your rock career where getting in the van and going from city to city has become a drag?
No, yeah,
Not-
I mean,
no.
I really love it too. For whatever reason, I'm wired for it.
Yeah, not everyone is, for sure.
I want to ask you about Are You Okay, the song that you're going to start with here in a little bit. I was looking online the other day and saw the 11-minute plus video that was directed by Bret, Easton, Ellis, where your song is somewhere in the middle of it. And there are things with you and an actress that happened in the beginning and the end. So I highly recommend the viewers go to that, not now, but after this is over. But tell me a bit about that. Where did that come from?
Yeah, that was a pretty surreal collaboration. The producer of that video is a friend now named Braxton Pope, and he did that Lindsay Lohan film with Bret Ellis called The Canyons, and they used a Dum Dum Girls song in the film, and so that kind of just created a conversation. And as a Bret Easton Ellis fan, I, you know, of course, put it out. If you would ever like to use my music for anything, like I'd be flattered, and I'm a big fan. And sort of just a seed was planted that maybe we would do something at some point. And it really took almost a year to make something happen. I mean, the record Too True took a long time from start to finish, just because there was like a, I don't know, 6 to 9 month period in there where I had to recuperate my voice that I had blown. And so there was a lot of time for little ideas to grow into something bigger. And I think initially, when I met him, I was a blonde, and something about our conversation, you know, I made him think of the Brian De Palma film Dressed to Kill, and so that was sort of the initial reference. It was like maybe we were going to do some sort of spin on a modern version of that. And then over the course of the year that the project, you know, was in incubation, we brought on this directing team, Brewer. They're 2 young brothers in LA, and they collaborated with Bret and kind of wrote a more original version of sort of like a psychological sexual thriller or something. Yeah, and then we went to Joshua Tree in LA and filmed it, and it was really very, very much an interesting experience, because as you say, like the song is, you know, almost the smallest part of the whole thing. But in terms of a collaboration, it was really interesting for me to be a part of something on the film side.
To me, the song has something to do with regret, I think, about being up all night and then the next day kind of having pain for it, perhaps. Is that...
Well, that's every song. No. Yeah, I mean, I think the way that I tend to write songs is I get stuck on like a chorus phrase, and so for whatever reason, I became obsessed with the idea of, oh, I don't think I've ever heard a song where that simple question is asked. And I know that in my personal life, I probably say it, 20 times a day, and there's all this subtext, and so yeah, that I just kind of ran with that idea, and I actually didn't think it was going to be a Dum Dum Girls song. I kind of casually wrote it with the idea of pitching it to Ronnie Spector, because that's kind of something that I've toyed with doing for a few years after having met her and talked about music and stuff. But my producer was like, no way.
You're
This is
not
a
giving
good
this one away.
Yeah, you should do it. So there was kind of it was a little bit different. I think it was maybe somehow less guarded because I didn't anticipate having to sing it myself, which maybe was why people responded to it, which I should remember.
Good point. Well, why don't you start the music segment? You're going to be playing that, and Andrew will be joining you, the off-camera Dum Dum Girl, and kick it out.
The days hit like some new drug. My eyes are sharp, but my face is numb. I know just what I'm doing. What is this that I'm pursuing? You say, are you okay? 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 What do you feel? What can you do? I feel it too. What do you feel? What can you do? I feel it too. Sometimes my heart is pure. Sometimes I know it's not. Sometimes it disappears and returns unlocked. And you say, are you okay? 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 What do you feel? What can you do? I feel it too. What do you feel? What can you do? I feel it too. What if this feeling doesn't go away? What if this feeling always plays? I'm reckless at night, I'm sorry for days. I'm looking for you through lavender haze. And you say, are you okay? 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 I'm always alone, but I can feel most places at home, day in, day out. It don't sink to the bone, 'cause I can make any city my own. But tonight I feel lonely in the wake of you, in the wake of you. Tonight I feel lonely in the wake of you, in the wake of you. Day in, day out, I'm walking on air, but today I feel the weight of nobody here, and tonight I feel lonely in the wake of you, in the wake of you. 'Cause tonight I feel lonely in the wake of you, in the wake of you. And you can outrun the world like day can outrun the sun. Oh no, you can outrun the world like day can outrun the sun. Tonight I feel lonely in the wake of you, in the wake of you. Tonight I feel lonely in the wake of you, in the wake of you. I had a vision, I begged and I pled. I had a vision, I wanted to be dead. And you said there's nothing you can do to make all your bad turn good, turn good. I had a vision, destruction ruled. I had a vision, the flames cool. And you said there's nothing you can do to make your kind not cruel, not cruel. Oh, trouble is my name is is your name too? Trouble is my name, is it your name too? Trouble is my name, is it your name too? Trouble is my name, is it your name too? She's trouble, I'm trouble. She's trouble, I'm trouble. She's trouble, I'm trouble. She's trouble. I had a vision, I bowed down. I had a vision, I swore you came around. And you said there's nothing you can do to make deception true. So true. Oh, trouble is my name, is it your name too? Trouble is my name, is it your name too? Trouble is my name, is it your name too? Trouble is my name, is it your name too? She's trouble, I'm trouble. She's trouble, I'm trouble. She's trouble, I'm trouble. She's trouble, I'm trouble.
Very nice. Come on back. I feel like I'm breaking into kind of a hush. It's very dream poppy. Very, that was. I've never heard you in this format. I've heard you in the band format,
Right.
and for people who don't know, it is a 5-piece, and there's a bass guitar and a drum banging away too.
Yeah.
Are you a much louder band in a full concert then, or are these elements still there?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely are much louder. We try to maintain, dynamics though, because I think at this point it's a disservice to the songs if it's just a wham bam sort of approach.
Right.
But I mean, this is how everything starts, acoustic guitar and sort of soft vocals.
It's really nice. The atmosphere, the textures, we really shine through. And I wanted to ask you about you as a lyricist too. You were kind of talking about all your songs being about the regret end of things. You're sort of a minimalist, from what I can tell. I mean, you kind of paint a fairly short picture and then get out. Can you tell me a bit about how they come, what you do?
Like I said, if anything, the seed of the song is sort of like a chorus phrase that I come up with, and then I try to keep that pretty simple and direct and accessible, and then I try to use the verses as a place where I can maybe expand a bit on an idea, be a little more vague, or a little more poetic in that sense. But I definitely have always tried to be articulate. It's something that I had a writing teacher in high school. I thought, I've always been a lover of music, and I knew I was a singer and that I wanted to do something like this, but I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen because I had a lot of self-confidence issues and didn't really know how to materialize, the things that I wanted. So I thought I was going to go into writing, so I did a lot of that. And I had a teacher once tell me, you're a promising writer, but you it's too much, it's too superfluous, that you need to be able to, say what you want to say and get out and have been impactful. And she gave me a writing book called Writing Down the Bones, which has probably been something that I've, kept in the back of my mind, if not the front, since then. And I think that the pop song is sort of the perfect medium to exercise that approach. You've got 3 minutes and you need to say something and have it stick.
I did
not get
that
lost.
when I was in journalism class. I had that exercise sort of to write a story, and then the editor would say, okay, now cut it in half.
Yeah.
Cut that in half. And it would end up really with the one sentence lead, and you'd go, oh my God, really, this is it? But it was a good exercise.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So are you a good editor of yourself, or do other people come in to help in that regard?
Yeah, I self-edit for the most part. I guess I'm able to sort of suspend the fact that it's mine. If I take some time away, I can come back to a song and be like, wow, I don't remember writing that or where that came from at all. So there's kind of a lucky, objective voice that I can take advantage of.
You're able to kill the widows, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, now, you work with and continue to work with Richardgadamer, correct? Who, for people who don't know, he was a brill-building pop writer back in the 60s and produced Blondie, Richard Hell, and the Go-Go's, among many, many others. How did you connect with him, and what does he bring to your work?
I think that if I recall, I signed with Sub Pop off of, basically these very, very rough demos that I had been self-recording and had been released on pretty small labels. And somehow this gem of a person named Dean Hudson found me on MySpace and, essentially signed me to Sub Pop without a band, without a record, which was a huge opportunity, obviously. And he and I were trying to figure out, okay, so for this first proper release, should I, scrap all the songs that I've been recording? Should we go into a studio, and do a much higher fidelity version of what I've been doing? And we just decided that wasn't really appropriate. I had gotten to where I was because of, there was something in these early recordings that people found charming or whatever. And so I wasn't ready to completely abandon ship. But we did think that it would be appropriate to bring in somebody to mix them, professionally and maybe offer some post-production. And we, just toyed with the idea, like, what if we could get somebody, big, like somebody legendary, and someone at Sub Pop knew Seymour Stein, who had a label with Richard back in the day, and so via him, I think we got an email address, and it was basically a cold call. It was like, hey, here's this singer, check out this MySpace page.
MySpace has never been talked about as much as today.
Well, it's wild to me to think, that we're basically sitting here because somebody clicked on a MySpace page. And I think you can look back and see the projects he's worked on and understand probably what he saw in Dum Dum Girls that, that he understood and was familiar and could be excited about. But I remember he told me the cover of Baby Don't Go was sort of the deal maker for him, which is why he insisted it was on the first record.
Do you think he has a particular knack or ability to work with women? Because he has produced a lot of female acts.
I don't know.
Does
That'd be a question for him.
Yeah, I guess.
He's worked with a lot of men as well. But yeah, he's kind of taken on. He's like my New York dad. He's incredibly inspiring. He's so enthusiastic. You remember recording with him. He like dances and
he's a huge cheerleader in the studio.
It's great, and
keeps it fun,
he's really smart and sharp, and he gets these ideas that I think would only happen if he was around. So he's vital in that sense.
So it's a real catalyst and
he's a good person to have on your team for sure.
That's good. Want to ask you too about we've talked a bit about songwriting and then performing, the different charges, the different kicks you get from doing both. I want to talk a bit about that here.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the writing and the recording for me is much more cerebral. It's, yeah, like I said, it's something that feels very, very personal to me. And historically, I'm a pretty introverted wallflower type. But, you know, kind of that classic underneath it all, there's like somebody that really wants to go for it, which is why I think I enjoy performing live so much. And even though, you know, Dum Dum Girls are kind of known for being a bit heavy on the mood and, you know, more stoic than Iggy Pop, you know, styling.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. There's still, I think, the same sort of intensity, you know, that we feel on stage. And recently on the tour we're on now, I've quit playing guitar for most of the set, so I'm, you know, getting to exercise that.
And why
a
is
little bit
that?
more.
Does
Why
it free
have
you? I mean, why
Yeah,
does it free you up as a
just felt,
frontwoman?
it just felt, you know, time to see what that was like. Yeah.
And you've got enough guitars, right?
That was also a pretty defining factor.
Jules, how do you and Andrew work together as the guitar tandem team?
Well, we kind of know what parts we're like strongest at. I usually just stick to the simple lead type things and then strumming, and he adds all this like texture and ethereal sounds and like really fleshes out the song, just like the album is. I think he's those little elements that the two of us probably couldn't have done without a third person.
Yeah, that was like the big reason. You know,
there are a lot of guitar tracks on the album, so
it's
it's
a
like
big
to
guitar
do it
record,
two-way, two people would be, well, I need an extra arm or something.
How many tracks are on songs? The guitar tracks, say, would you? Seems like layers and layers and layers.
Yeah, I mean, on Too True, there's probably 3 to 6 on every song. So, I mean, and some of it's just doubled, you know. But again, it's for the sound, and so it really, you know, because for me, I wanted the songs to sound like how they sound in my head. It was important that we were able to, you know, recreate that to some degree live as well.
Now, with Too True, it came out first of the year, I think, right?
Yeah, end of January.
But there was a couple of, 2 years between albums or so, and you had some vocal trouble, right? Some throat trouble. And I guess maybe some writing trouble as well. I know that you wrote some liners or some, in the press kit, you wrote something very nice about that. Can you tell people a little bit about that period?
It was definitely a strange situation. We had been on tour for the last EP, End of Days, and I had been, you know, plugging along, but noticing I was starting to have some pretty significant vocal issues, and having been a singer my entire life, I had a really strong voice. Never had to think about it, didn't have to put a ton of effort into, you know, I just showed up and it showed up as well, and it's kind of stopped showing up, and I found myself kind of amending my technique, and I ended up just developing some bad vocal technique habits that in turn, you know, this is like a very common thing that happens when you're like a touring band. But yeah, I started to get vocal nodes and basically had to take time off to let that heal. And then I had to start reevaluating how I was singing, and, you know, I met with a vocal coach every week for like, I don't know, 9 months, trying to figure out what exactly, you know, what corner I had painted myself into, and how to get out of it.
Well, having come out the other side, how do you feel?
I feel a lot better, but I definitely am much more paranoid now. You know, I really took it for granted that I had this instrument that, you know, was as foolproof as sitting down and having a guitar. I mean, a guitar can break, but if your voice breaks, there's not like a backup, you know, that your tech can hand you.
You look at people like Tony Bennett in their 80s going, my God, he sounds wonderful.
I know.
You know, how does that happen?
I need to read his autobiography if there is one. I need his secrets.
See what the secrets to sing are. I know. That's good. Well, why don't we conclude with you? You've got one more song to go.
Yeah.
Which is what? What is it?
It's called Been Alone So Long.
Been Alone. A happy song?
Yeah.
It's. I mean,
obviously.
It sounds like a happy song.
Yeah.
Well, take us out on this, and
Okay.
Thank you, Dum
Thank
Dum
you.
Girls, for
Yeah,
being here,
thanks.
and thank you for watching Boston Rock Talk.
Yeah.
One, two, three, four. Been alone so long that I've forgotten what it's like to feel somebody next to me and hear him breathing peacefully when I wake up at night. Wake up at night. Been alone so long that I've forgotten what to say. If I meet somebody who might easily resemble you, I smile but look away. I look away. Been alone so long that I've forgotten what to do, how to make the whole thing right, and how to help if he's uptight, and when to run and when to fight, and how to make him stay the night. That's if I ever knew. If I ever knew. Been alone so long that I've forgotten what it's like to feel somebody next to me and hear him breathing peacefully when I wake up at night. Wake up at night.